Tatsumi is a young swordsman from the countryside. His village is poverty-stricken where many people starve to death every year. So he, a young girl Sayo, and a young boy Ayasu decide to go to the prosperous imperial capital where they want to make a name and save their hometown. However, they get separated accidentally on the way, so Tatsumi has to move on, planning to meet them after he arrives at the destination. Tatsumi shows his strong strength by easily slaying a dangerous earth dragon and saving 2 lives on his way. But the 2 men rescued tell him that the imperial capital is not as good as he thinks, where people are sinister and more dangerous than monsters, which is obviously incomprehensible to Tatsumi. Since he has already been here, he can't give up halfway due to a few words from others. After saying goodbye to them, he soon reaches the imperial capital. He wants to join the army, but he fails again and again in the recruiting office because he is unwilling to start from scratch. Just when he doesn't know what to do, a beautiful girl named Leone appears in front of him. Upon hearing about Tatsume's ambition to become an officer, Leone kindly tells him that she can help him to join the army. As long as Tatsumi could give some money to her acquaintances in the army, he can even be a commanding officer. So, Tatsumi buys Leone a drink and gives her all the money to pull strings, while he waits in the tavern for Leone's good news. But he doesn't expect Leone is a fraud, who doesn't return even when the tavern closes. Fresh off the boat, Tatsume is quite upset after recognizing Leone's sinisterness. Without money for accommodation, Tatsume has to sleep on the street. Fortunately at this time, a lady Arya from a noble family offers him a place to rest in her house, which arouses Tatsume's alertness at first. But later he finds out that Arya is a truly kind person who often helps the wandering youth and houses them. The same is true of Arya's family, who not only express that they can help Tatsume with his military dream, but also promises to help Tatsume search for his 2 lost companions. Tatsume gets along well with Arya, and he also learns more about the imperial capital through conversations with others. The local government is very corrupt. Since the emperor is quite young, the empire is in fact controlled by Honest, the greedy prime minister. Under his rule, the whole country suffers from poverty and strife. Especially recently, an assassin group called Night Raid is very active, whose members often assassinate senior officials and the wealthy at night. Late at night, Night Raid targets Arya. They easily kill the bodyguard and then the host and hostess. When Arya is escaping in a different direction, she is caught by a black-haired killer called Akame. Just when Akame is about to kill Arya, Tatsumi saves her, but he is obviously no match for Akame. And then, Leone unexpectedly appears and stops Akame just the moment Akame is going to hack Tatsumi, saying that she owes Tatsumi a favor. Tatsumi is so angry when he recognizes that Leone is the girl who swindled him out of money, but Leone ignores his anger and goes straight to open the basement of Arya's house. Surprisingly, what's behind the door is a hellish scene, with many people locked in cages and others hung from the ceiling. It turns out that Arya's family specially arrests the country people and abuses them for fun, Tatsumi's 2 missing companions included. Hung on the ceiling, Sayo has been dead for a long time. Ayasu is locked in a cage, terminally ill and dying because he is fed excessive drugs. Seeing the misery of his companions, Tatsumi decides to take action personally. He stabs Arya ruthlessly, but Tatsumi breaks down with grief as Sayo is dead and Ayasu passes away after a few words with him. However, seeing Tatsumi's ruthless killing, Leone expresses her admiration, saying he is talented to be a killer. So after the mission, she drags and recommends Tatsumi to become one of the Night Raid members. Before Tatsumi could react, he is forcibly taken to the stronghold of Night Raid. Through Leone, Tatsumi meets other members of Night Raid. Besides Leone, there is the scissor-wielding Shield, the self-proclaimed sniper Mine, the muscle man Bulat, the lecher Lubbock who likes to peek girls taking baths, and Akame, the black-haired killer who fights him that day. Finally, he is brought to Najenda, the leader of Night Raid. From her, he finally learns what Night Raid is. Night Raid is a secret force formed by the Revolutionary Army to overthrow the decadent imperial rule with the goal of eliminating corruption and evil bureaucrats in the empire. Tatsumi is very excited after hearing this. He thinks that eliminating evil and promoting good is a just move, so that Night Raid is on the side of justice, but his words are ridiculed by others. They tell Tatsumi that killing is killing, which has nothing to do with justice no matter how it is whitewashed. Therefore, the members of Night Raid are ready to suffer accidents at any time. Their words set Tatsumi into thinking, but to make his folks live a better life, he finally decides to join Night Raid. Therefore, Tatsumi is assigned to Akame by Najenda, but he is somewhat unsatisfied after knowing that his and Akame's tasks are only to collect and cook food every day. However, while doing these jobs, he exercises his skills and becomes familiar with the members. He grows up a lot inadvertently. Soon, Tatsumi gets his first task to slay Ogre, the captain of Imperial Guard, and Gamal, an oil dealer who is in cahoots with Ogre. Night Raid decides to accept the task since Ogre takes bribes, shelters crimes, and frames the innocent. Killing the oil dealer is a piece of cake, but it's tricky to assassinate Captain Ogre. Because his swordsmanship is superb and so do his men, it's impossible to assassinate him when he's on duty. And after work, he only appears in the bustling street near the palace. Because of the dense flow of people there and the strict security of the palace, it is difficult for members wanted in Night Raid to take action. Therefore, the newcomer Tatsumi is entrusted to do the mission. On the day of the mission, Tatsumi disguises himself and stops Ogre in the street, saying that he has something important to tell him. After leading Ogre into a secluded place, Tatsumi falsely claims that he wants to join the army, trying to let Ogre down his guard. But the latter sees through Tatsumi's trick, and with their swords pulled out spontaneously, the fight starts. Although Tatsumi's skills have improved, Ogre is very strong and soon manages to suppress Tatsumi with his strength. He ridicules Tatsumi for his inability, but unexpectedly what he says irritates Tatsumi, who bursts into great power and finally slays Ogre. After returning to the stronghold of Night Raid, Tatsumi receives everyone's concern, which warms his heart. Even so, there is still a big gap in strength between Tatsumi and other members, so Nagenda assigns him to Mine as her subordinate. In the later battles, Tatsumi recognizes the skills of the members and their weapons called Tegu, or Imperial Arms. The so-called Tegu are 48 extremely powerful weapons created 1,000 years ago out of extremely rare materials and lost crafts from the best craftsmen from all over the world, all of whom were summoned by the founding emperor using his own financial and material resources. He did so to maintain his governance, and this is the origin of Tegu. In the following years, these Tegu are scattered everywhere, many of which are collected by the Revolutionary Army and many others by the Empire. Tegu are so dangerous that it's said when two Tegu users fight each other, at least one of them is bound to die. And the enemy they will face next is just a man with Tegu. Zank the Beheader is originally an executioner of the Empire. He develops a preference for slaying in repeated daily killings. Since beheading in prison can no longer satisfy him, he began doing so on the street. Because the enemy is very dangerous, Nagenda orders all members of the Night Raid to take action, but all their moves have already been exposed to the enemy. Zank's Tegu Spectator grants the users various visual abilities. Firstly, Zank discovers Tatsumi with his far-sightedness, and then by turning into the person who matters most to Tatsumi with the illusion, he manages to flush Tatsumi out. Suddenly seeing dead Sayo, Tatsumi starts chasing without thinking twice. However, when he spreads his arms to find something wrong, the person in his arms is none other than Zank. Disillusioned, Tatsumi immediately fights back, but his attack is seen through and resolved easily by Zank using Spectator. Despite his injuries all over the body, Tatsumi doesn't admit defeat. He concentrates all his strength on one blow, even if it is predicted by Zank. He fails to dodge it. As expected, Tatsumi successfully hits Zank, but since he misses the vital part, Zank manages to attack him. Just when Tatsumi is falling into a desperate situation, Akame arrives and immediately goes into battle. She is really a match for Zank in the battle. However, Zank once again launches the illusion ability as he did to Tatsumi, which enables Akame to see her most important person. Zank believes that Akame can't attack the person who matters most to her, but to his astonishment, Akame is so ruthless that she even moves more fiercely. With Zank killed soon, Akame successfully completes the mission. And Tatsume's superior changes again, and it's the turn of the purple-hair girl, Shiel. Since she screws up everything she does, she has not been assigned a task. Therefore, she can concentrate on cultivation with Tatsumi. Shiel tells Tatsumi that she has been bullied since childhood because of her inability to do anything. But even so, she once had a good friend who showed no discrimination against her. They spent a period of happy time together. However, once her friend was in danger, picking up the knife decisively, Shiel killed the enemy without mercy, and then she did so to all the Avengers. Although her cruel behavior scared away her friends, her talent for killing awakens. After that, she joins the Revolutionary Army and wants to play her part in the troops. By cultivating with her, Tatsumi makes great progress in his fighting skills. On the other side, in the last battle, Night Raid seizes Zank's Taigu Spectator. Because Tatsumi is the only member without Taigu, Nagenda wants him to have a try, but this Taigu is unexpectedly unsuitable for Tatsumi. Although Tatsume doesn't have his own imperial arms, Najenda gives him a document about Tegu and asks him to read it carefully. Holding the document, Tatsume is very excited. He thinks that since Tegu has such magical powers, there might be one Tegu that could bring his dead companions back to life. But other members are just indifferent, advising him not to think so. They say that the dead can't be resurrected and that he should discard such thoughts, otherwise he would make himself killed. Hearing this, Tatsumi is very upset, but Shiel's comfort at this moment makes Tatsumi warm and deeply moved. But this transitory peace is ended soon. All the deeds Night Raid did are quickly known by Prime Minister Honest. Feeling threatened, he rallies a crusade against Night Raid, the girl Seryu one of them. As an optimist and lovely girl, she is willing to offer help, and she is the apprentice of the former guard captain. But beneath her lovely appearance hides a horrible side of her. Because both her parents and master were killed by the wicked, Seryu has an almost abnormal obsession with justice. Passing the selection of the upper level, she becomes the owner of Tegu Hikaten chair. To become stronger, she even modifies her body. At this time, she is patrolling the city to catch Night Raid members. When on the mission, Tatsumi bumps into her. Fortunately, since he is not on the wanted order, he makes a narrow escape. He is even regarded by Seryu as a lost boy. While Tatsumi and Leone finish their tasks successfully, Shiel and Mine are not so lucky. No sooner have they finished the tasks do they meet Seryu. Soon, the battle begins. Mine's Tegu, the Roman artillery, Pumpkin, can improve the user's ability along with the user's degree of danger. And Shiel's Tegu, Slice All, Ecstasy, can sever anything in half. But even with Tegu so powerful, they still can't defeat Seryu. Seryu's Tegu Hikaten chair is a biological one, which regenerates quickly. It can keep fighting as long as the core is intact. Besides, with strong aggressiveness, it can strengthen attacks by fortifying the user's body. Faced with such a tricky enemy, Shiel and Mine decide to divide their work. Mine is responsible for destroying Hikaten chair, while Shiel is in charge of killing Seryu. As long as the user is killed, Tegu can't act. With neat actions, Shiel cuts off Seryu's arms, but it's expected to her that Seryu has been implanted with a machine gun into her arms. Now she fires at Shiel. At last, Shiel manages to dodge the sinister blow and straightly cuts off Seryu's two hands. Just at this moment, Seryu suddenly orders Hikaten chair to go frenzy. Soon, Mine is already grabbed by Hikaten chair. Seeing this, Shiel hurries to rescue Mine, but she doesn't realize it to be a trap. Just as both of them feel relieved, a bullet suddenly hits Shiel. It turns out that Seryu also has modifications on her head that she hides a gun in her mouth. She sneaks up on Shiel when she is absent-minded. Seeing her companion dying in front of her, Mine is so exasperated that she wants revenge, but then she is surrounded by the coming Imperial reinforcements. At the life-threatening moment, Shiel's Tegu suddenly gives off a strong light. It has a hiding ability to interfere with the enemy's sight with strong light. Releasing her last strength to launch the ability, Shiel manages to cover Mine's escape. Shiel's death makes everyone heartbroken. What's more, Tatsumi even wants to take revenge but is held back. Najenda tells everyone that Shiel's death is not meaningless, and the fact that the Empire uses Tegu against Night Raid means that they have more opportunities to collect Imperial arms. Therefore, to get more Tegu, they should try harder to improve their abilities. But the nightmare of Night Raid is approaching that Esdeath, the general of the Empire, is back, who is known as the owner of the strongest Tegu which can control ice. She is originally sent to the north to crusade against enemies led by powerful brave men for about a year. But with her extraordinary ability, she quickly finishes the mission and returns to the Empire ahead of time. Showing little interest in politics and power, Esdeath just enjoys war. Therefore, she becomes Prime Minister Honest's most powerful weapon since they share mutual benefits. And her prior task this time is to attack Night Raid. She sends 3 men to kill loyal ministers who secretly confront Honest and shifts the blame to Night Raid, which is known to Night Raid soon. They clearly know Esdeath's plots, but they are lying low while the Empire is under the spotlight. Besides, officers as their murderers are all competent civil officials who are of great help for building a new country later, so even if they know it's a trap, Night Raid members have to take action. As Mine is still recovering from injuries, other members are divided into 3 groups. Leone will go and attract Esdeath's attention. Akame and Lubbock will set the enchantment and cut off the support of the Empire, while Tatsumi and Bulat will get on a luxury cruise ship to protect officials in danger. But the mission doesn't go smoothly. Leone quickly catches the chance of Esdeath being alone, but she finds that Esdeath is so murderous, obviously waiting for herself to take the bait. So finally, following the nature of the beast, Leone runs away. For Tatsumi and Bulat, they hear a strange sound of a flute, which is the tune played by Taegu military music dream, Scream. Hearing the tune, all the people on board are hypnotized, but fortunately, as a countryman, Tatsumi knows nothing about the tune, so he stays barely conscious. But without Taegu, he is almost injured by the enemy's Taegu double-bladed axe, Belvac, thanks to Bulat, who arrives and saves Tatsumi in time. Even surrounded by enemies on 3 sides, Bulat launches his Taegu Incursio, easily repels the 2 men, and quickly kills the owner of Belvac. It surprises Tatsumi that Bulat is such a strong guy. In fact, as a former Imperial soldier, Bulat is known as 100 Killer Bulat. Both his superior Liver and he were framed, so he decided to join Night Raid. Bulat is very brave, so even if there are 3 enemies, they together are no match for him. But he doesn't expect that one of the 3 enemies is exactly his framed superior, Liver. When Liver was put into prison, Esdeath released him. He is so overwhelmed by Esdeath's strength that he willingly becomes her servant. In the face of the former partner, Bulat shows no mercy and they soon go into battle. Liver's Taegu Water Dragon possession, Black Marlin, can freely manipulate the liquid, and now since they are exactly at sea, Water Dragon's advantages have been brought into full play. The 2 sides go into a fierce fight, but because Liver knows Bulat's weakness, he summons Water Dragon to attack the cruise ship. Bulat jumps into the air and cuts the Water Dragon in half in case it causes a large number of casualties, but is attacked in the air. With one trick of Liver, several Water Dragons start attacking Bulat fiercely. Although Bulat withstands all the attacks, he is unable to maintain his transformation because of the heavy injury. At the same time, Liver suffers a lot that he can no longer use Water Dragon. At this moment, Liver suddenly asks Bulat if he would like to join Esdeath, and he promises auspicious offers. But Bulat refuses him decisively, because he is determined to take the side of the people. Seeing that it's meaningless to go on, they decide to battle it out with their swords. After Liver injects himself with a fortifier, the fight begins. Bulat hits Liver's vital part with his vigorous skills, but unexpectedly, all these are designed by Liver. He manipulates his blood with his last strength. Turning the blood into a sharp sword, he stabs Bulat fiercely. Realizing it in an instant, Bulat blocks all the fatal attacks with his sword, and the blood blade misses his vital part. Fighting with all his strength, Liver finally falls to the ground, dying. At this moment, Bulat also exhausts all his energy. Just as Tatsumi and Bulat are relieved, Bulat spits out a mouthful of blood. It turns out that Liver injects not only the fortifier, but also a highly poisonous mixture, which can turn his blood into poison. Bulat, who is attacked by the blood, has already been poisoned, but the battle is not over yet. The man with the flute goes toward Tatsumi and Bulat. His flute Taegu scream can not only hypnotize others, but also strengthen the user through the sound of the flute. Without Bulat's aid, Tatsumi is obviously no match for him alone. At this moment, with Tatsumi's life on the line, Bulat gifts his Taegu Incursio to Tatsumi. Incursio is very dangerous. Ordinary people will die immediately after putting it on. The man obviously doesn't believe that Tatsumi can control it, so he keeps taunting him. Tatsumi also falls into self-doubt, only to be awakened by a punch from Bulat, who convinces him that he has the qualification and ability to handle Incursio. Finally, Tatsumi plucks up his courage and puts on Incursio. Obviously, Bulat is right. Incursio quickly adapts to Tatsumi and forms a unique armor with his body shape. Incursio is made from the flesh of a powerful dragon, which has strong vitality and adaptability. Even though it has been made into Taegu, the muscles of the dragon are still alive. Wearing armor, Tatsumi becomes extremely brave and knocks down the enemy with only one punch. Although he defeats the enemy, Bulat is already dying. After saying that Tatsumi would become stronger than himself, Bulat eventually dies. Looking at Bulat's body, Tatsumi can't help crying in the rain. He makes up his mind to use Incursio as freely as he wants and live up to Bulat's expectations.